Tonight, I wipe down an air filter. I open a compartment and a tire gets inflated, but sped up. What we have here is a 1970 Ford LTD Country Squire. Now this has been sat here in our neighborhood for about 14 years, and I just put a letter through the door of the homeowner to see what's the story with this. Little did I know that within just a few days I'd be getting a phone call to let me know you can come and pick it up whenever you like. It's yours. So this is the free station wagon. Coming in here to the interior, we see it has been lovingly left for the elements to make themselves at home, and many spiders. But we have some solid floors. The door cards don't look terrible. The winders are, of course, stuck, but it doesn't seem that bad. When we come up here to the front to pop the hood, I don't know what I'm doing, so I give it a bit of a squeeze of WD-40, and just like that, nearly there, we are in. And we can see that wonderful engine and all of that other goodness ready for us to try and figure out what to do with. Amazingly, the glove box actually has some things in it, and it has been stuffed with local service business cards and every registration imaginable. Let's clean this thing. Alright, we have the key in the ignition. We're just going to see, do we get any lights when I turn it to the on position? And alright, we've got an oil pressure light and an alternator light. So that means we've actually got something going on here. So that's really, really cool. Get it into the transmission, put it in neutral, get it in park, and let's see. It cranks. Oh snap. And coming up front, we have headlights. That is seriously cool. Let's check now if the indicator works. Let's listen out. Do we get a click? It has working indicators. Oh, this is awesome. Continuing the test. What about these switches? Ooh, okay, that works. Let's turn that off. See if the radio does a thing. Do we have working speakers? feeling we might not. That's okay. I don't mind. The radio doesn't work. I don't think I was going to use it anyhow. Next up, coming down here, how are the wipers? Do these work? Ah! Okay, they work. That's good. And I'm not even going to try this because I think this needs a bit more help than windshield wiper fluid. So I just gave this a whack, and let's have a look and see what these seats look like. Just get rid of these screws. Pull into the landing. Do excuse my camera skills, they're not great. Oh, they are gone. What we have here is storage and what looks to be some pretty intensely bad rust. I mean, yeah, that's not holding anything up. But still, that's neat. I guess we won't be using this section for anything at all. So let's close this up and pretend like it was never here. Now, they're not perfect, but this is way cleaner than this was before. We're just doing our first pass in the interior of the car to get rid of this nasty black mold. I've just missed some up there, but I can get that when I'm back here next. Let's check on the transmission fluid. Yeah, that sucker out. That is good news. There's something in there. Now, this took way too much effort, but I did it. Finally, get this thing out, take it for a clean and a recondition, because yeah, this is so bad. In my extreme rush to try and get this thing reattached, I thought it was a good idea to put some pressure on the throttle linkage, and I lost this on the floor. What came in clutch was this big old magnet, which helped me pick this up off the floor here. So thanks for this $7 or $8 tool, Harbor Freight. First spark plug removed, and that doesn't look amazing. Not terrible, but that is filthy. So it's been a bit of a process, but what we are at now is we've got a fresh oil change in. We have replaced all the spark plugs, made sure that they're all good, and we got the choke on closed. So we're just going to see now, if I crank it, does it make any slightly better noises than before? Because it might. So let's get in the cab, put the key in. We have lights. Let's give it a little gas. So it's running pretty badly still, but better than nothing. All right, we are gonna go for a sketchy drive. So we see the needle here. We're gonna put this thing in reverse and we're gonna feel the thing go back. So let's get us started. Or not. Alright, so we had our little scary journey, but you'll notice the wheel has turned because the power steering does in fact work. Now we can see this pile of, well, detritus. I'm going to get it parked back there for the sake of this video, but I am pretty happy that we can actually move this thing. So let's get it back into its parking spot in a way that only I know about. This smoking is not great. Alright, we're going to take her home. Except home is just a few feet away. Slam it in drive, and we're going, and the engine cut out, and we're good. It has been a process, but this thing is idling off the sketchiest gas bottle. But we did it. This thing needs brakes though, because they flat out just don't work. So that's the next thing we definitely need, because right now, yeah, that don't feel convincing. As you can see, we finally got this thing out. What was holding me up was getting the nozzle out of here, but most importantly these two tubes, which maybe there's something to do with the fuel system. At this point I don't know, so a bit of reading to do, but now at least I can get this drained into that tank and get some fresh gas in here. Woo! Okay, we got the sending unit out, and this looks to be the reason it wasn't drawing. This was a little bit blocked. So we're just going to give it the filter thing a clean and get it shoved back in, and then basically put this back in and try to start the car again. Okay friends, I had a disastrous cooler leak, and you can see these marks on the fan blades here. They are incredibly sharp, but what I have noticed is that this is very sloppy, and as a result there's a lot of play here. So my thinking is we remove this and then tighten up the bolt here and then put it back together, and this should run at least a bit smoothly to get it. As you can see in the bottom there, that is my collection of spilled coolant. So we'll come back a little later once the day's done, and we're going to get this cover off and get this out and tightened. Well, today is the day. We're going to be getting this nice new water pump to replace whatever's happened to this one. The one that when you do this, you wobble. So first up, we're going to get these bolts off and get this lovingly sharpened fan out of the car. Step one is complete. Fan is off. Just going to get this bolt out, and we're good to proceed. All right, some progress has been made, and as you can see, we got the tensioner down. Let's go with focus. Let's drop the wrench, because that's a good thing to do. And yeah, I think that's the problem. Let's get this thing out. Yeah. All right. There we go. All right, we got that installed. So I think it's time to chuck this in the engine bay itself and get ourselves a water pump. Okay, so the next step is to just put a gasket on each of these, make sure they're clean. So we're gonna get some sealant and we're gonna apply them there so we can then get them in and thread the bolts by hand. This is the old fuel line. You'll see it looks terrible. So this has got chucked. So, the solution. We have put this end of this cheap pump onto the fuel line, so it is now going into the tank. We're going to get the battery back in, just been charging that to give it some juice. So let's see if this is going to make a difference. Let's see if it will idle, however roughly. Not too bad, let's try once again. no luck. All right, we just dumped some gas in the carb, so we're going to try once again and see, do we get a winner? I think the answer is yes. It's got some horrible vacuum leaks. Oh, there's always something. Look at this puddle. And let's come around here. Look at this puddle. And also, look at this puddle. So the problem we got, or at least I think, is we've got a leak on the right side of the fuel pump there. So I'm hoping if I tighten this up, it'll fix the issue, but at least we're down to a different problem and not the same thing. I am on my way to Harbour Freight because I don't have the right wrenches, but I just wanted to pull over because this fog is really quite something today. We are back and we've got a trusty little kit here. All right, we are back at the car and I picked up the SAE ones because the metric ones I have are just the wrong size. So what I'm hoping is we can get under here, get the hard line out, see if it's distorted, and then put it back in and see if that fixes it. If not, I'm gonna park this for a couple of days and then we're gonna have to proceed a different way. All right, team, it turns out that the problem was indeed the fuel pump. So what we have just done now is we've loosened up the power steering, so that gives us pretty good access to these bolts just here. So we're gonna get this one off and, well, actually, first off, get the fuel lines off and then get that off. All right, situation report. It is getting close to the sun going down, so I should probably stop, enjoy my Sunday evening. But we are at a point where we can actually access the bolts quite easily. We just need an extension that is a little bit larger than this one. Thankfully, I have some of these back at the house, so I'll grab those and come back tomorrow morning. All right, another day and we are back. We've got our extensions, we've got all the tools we need, got grease, everything's good to go. We're gonna get the new fuel pump in. And here is my contraption setup. I have just linked a bunch of extensions because these are the only ones I have. So we've got the first bolt and the second just to go. All right, that's the old one out. Doesn't look terrible, but we know that it don't work. So let's take the bolt off, clean this all up and get the new one in. It took way longer than I thought to get the angle right, but if this thing will focus, yeah, you can kind of see it is in there. Let's get these hoses connected up and the fuel line, and hopefully this is the end of this debacle. We have no leaks, a hell of a vacuum leak, but we are done with this section. Oh man, that's a huge relief. All right, we're gonna take this thing for a spin, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little bit frightened. Last time I did this, things went very wrong. So I'm hoping we have a decent time this time around. All right, so the test drive went okay. Power steering was pretty iffy, but the car wouldn't turn off, and there's obviously not enough coolant in the system because this thing was steaming up a storm. So there's something going on with this transmission set to park because the key just doesn't turn the engine off. So a bit more troubleshooting to do, but would you look at that, it's in a different location.